good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee. It is Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. Do we have a motion to open?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are open. Okay, tonight we're going to discuss some preliminary data, numbers for upcoming budget season with our town accountant, Nick Monticello. He's provided us with a handout in front of us. And Nick, I'll let you start and just go through some, things that you think are going to be relevant for us upcoming.
Oh, yeah, so, I mean, looking at 25 so far, we have the 21, 697, 450, which is the 2.5 and new growth from last year. And then we had the new 2.5 for this upcoming year would be 542,000. New growth will be definitely fluctuate. We're not sure yet, but we're using a preliminary number of 100,000 for right now, just because permitting's been down. We had budgeted 250,000 this past year, and it actually came in at 200. So definitely trending down.
Yeah.
So that's why we're starting on the conservative side with that. Then we have the debt exclusion, which gets added on top of that after the fact. The 120,000, which was left on the levy, in past years. So we're just carrying that forward. The 200,000 for overlay gets backed out, and then I had talked with the assessor Kelly, and she had given me the preliminary number for all the solar. So that's what that 112,000 is, which is that special fund that the town has where the solar revenue gets backed out and goes into that solar capital fund to be used for that. So for the cherry sheets or the state revenue, Jamie wanted me to say, on the conservative side, because it had increased so much this past year, that to start with 3% for right now. So at least on the local aid in Chapter 70, so that would only be $260,000, $70,000 for right now.
Yeah.
And then the assessments are always would go up as well, so it's about 70 where it stands right now. Continuing on. Any questions before I keep going?
You do fine.
Yeah.
So then for local receipts, we're lowering the motor vehicle again because things look a little slower, so we can always change that as we go further into the budget year, but as of right now, leaning on the conservative side. All the numbers do line up. We're about halfway mark, so what we brought in currently in FY24 is on par to match what we've projected for revenue, so that's good. The licenses and permits is the other one we're actually lowering because that has slowed down. And then the EMS receipts, that's always the number that we transfer in from the receipts reserve fund. The 1550 is just a debt premium that we get that gets applied to the debt payment for the year. And then the 60,000 from water surplus, that's always is like their reserve. It's added in. So a little conservative with some of the numbers for right now, but I guess important to know early on. We don't have any large projects or anything like that where we can expect a larger influx of revenue for right now.
Right. Which is probably good, especially because considering, what the schools are dealing with right now with the cleaning. I believe they spent $175,000 already. I think it was through their funds, their ESSER funds, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that, I think they're spending down the ESSER 3 first.
Right. But we don't know, how much more cost we're going to incur going forward. It could be, a significant amount. So we're gonna have to plan accordingly. So, look, we struggle every year to just cover the increases in our fixed cost, right? Let alone adding anything on like a part of the wish list. And I think it's getting more and more challenging. To just cover the fixed cost increases with our operational budget, which is kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
Mr. St. Jean, you've been down this road many times, so you've seen the changes over many years, right? And it's a little different now, right, than when you were doing it several years ago?
It's much different, actually.
Yeah,
There are certain things like, we have, dedicated revenue for certain projects, which takes away from the budget.
yes.
Processes. You gotta make those monies back up somehow.
Well, to that point, we've created a lot of these stabilization funds, which are basically emergency funds, and which are in essence good to have, but we may not be able to fund them as much as we'd like, because we're going to have to cover these fixed cost increases. So I think that might have to get adjusted a little bit. I mean, right? I mean, I would imagine something's going to have to give somewhere.
Yeah, it's like a give and take, I guess. So
Yeah.
like you don't want to ever overestimate or estimate too close to revenues in case you don't reach that. But the more conservative you are with revenues, then that's what flows to your free cash, which helps with like capital projects.
So those dedicated stabilization funds, that's an administrative move, correct?
In terms of what?
If we had to make adjustments or requested to make adjustments on those,
It would have to be a town meeting.
it would have to be.
Yeah, so say we went into a deficit for compensated absences, so if, a bunch of people left, they had all their buyout vacation, we could go to town meeting and request that the stabilization for compensated balances offset that cost.
But how about the dedicated funds?
Like the solar one?
Solar,
Yeah, so you could appropriate that into, I think in the past they've used it, I want to say to fund partial of maybe something with fire a few years ago. Like if it was like the cruiser or something, like one of the rescue ones, maybe. Can't remember. But yeah, you would basically allocate what's in that fund to fund, it would be for capital. You can't like add it into the operating budget, because it'd be like one-time use.
Yeah, we have the this pending police contract that's still being negotiated, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's going to be some.
There's a couple other ones too. There's the steel workers one. There's the AFSCME one though.
AFSCME's done this year. DPW's is up. Fires is up next year.
Yeah.
But there's going to be funds that are going to have to be allocated retro, right?
Yeah. Well, the contractual increases. So whatever their increase, like that percentage, would have to be included in the operating budget. So that we'd be looking at from these numbers. The retro can be funded differently because it's a one-time funding source for that.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
So the retro being a one-time expenditure, where could we draw those funds from?
So like that, you could use free cash for. Mainly be that. I know that you could discuss overlay potentially if there's excess and a buildup of excess funds and overlay, but those would be like really the only two funding sources. But that'd be a conversation with the selectmen and the assessors and trying to come up with that.
Yeah, so once the contract is finalized, then we'll know the specific number, right?
Yeah.
So there are only two outstanding contracts. They haven't been signed, police and
The
the
steel workers.
Steel workers.
Yeah, and then at
And then
the
you
end
said
of
fires next year.
end of FY24, DPW. So I'm not sure if they'll start that before the end of the fiscal year. So DPW is up this year, and then next year fire will be up.
And policemen could be pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Because they're retro, 3 years now? 4 years?
3, I think.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be pretty deep.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a lot of, things that we're going to be facing coming up, and we always have to go conservative as we can. We take that approach every year. You know, when the departments come in and it's like, you know, you gotta come in lean, and it's gonna be no different this year. You know, just because it's just gonna be challenging to just cover the fixed cost. You know, these increases, whether it's from, you know, salaries, you know, contracts, utilities, you know, all that stuff. We're gonna see increases in all those things.
Which, to that point, I know we're part of a, for like electricity, we're part of like a group. So
Mhm.
we were locked into 9 cents, but that contract had expired, so it's, I think they said 17. So it's almost doubled from what we were locked in at. But again, we were locked in, you know, I think 4 years ago, so that's why it was such a good rate.
So that's the Constellation program,
Yeah,
the electricity?
town's part of like a separate one, like a municipal one, so
Yeah.
it's a little different, but it's essentially the same
So it's
thing.
gonna go from 9 cents a kilowatt to 17?
Yeah,
Wow. I mean, so people's electric bills are gonna double.
yeah.
That's,
Well, for town buildings.
Yeah, that's,
yeah.
yeah, I don't think.
oh, okay, I thought you were
Yeah,
talking, I
yeah,
thought you were
Yeah,
talking
not
about, I thought you were
residential,
talking about
part of the,
residential.
yeah, the
That's
municipal.
Okay,
the
I was like,
supply
wait,
part of
yes.
the bill, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the residents wanna hear that.
Yeah.
All right, so it's, yeah, so residents, it's not you, it's the,
Yeah,
It's
this
Sorry,
part,
what
yeah,
building?
it's part of the municipal.
but ultimately, it's still not good because it's gonna affect taxation,
Yeah,
you know? I mean, in a certain way, I mean, you still have to pay for that.
yeah.
It's a big increase.
A lot of contractual increases.
Yeah.
The thing you're referring to, they sent out a letter about a month ago about the rate
Yeah.
change with the, I forget what it's called, like the.
Constellation.
Yeah, the system you're talking about.
Yes. Yep.
And it went up, it was 11 cents, and I think it went up to.
Yeah, because I think
15 or 16
I think it's
something.
better for residents to participate in that versus not. I think you get a little bit of a better
I remember
deal.
it.
Yeah. And you gotta, you know, save anywhere you can.
Mhm.
It's not easy. As far as the schools go, you know, like I said earlier, you know, they're dealing with some cleaning issues there, and it's gonna definitely cost more to finish what they're doing. Sue Delgado and myself are part of a steering committee, along with Mr. Hinckley. There's a union rep from the schools. I think it's Lisa Rodericks, of course Paula Bailey, and Patrick McIntyre. And I think Steve, the head of maintenance, is usually at the meetings too, and Sarah Gomes. So we've been meeting and trying to stay on top of this. And you know, the message I've conveyed is we have to do this as cost effective as we can for the town. You know, you want the job done right, but you know, we don't want to just spend money haphazardly if we don't need to. You know, so it's
Are they gonna have a scheduled maintenance as far as that janitorial, for also, the cleaning of the school?
yeah, I believe
Yeah.
they're gonna do that as best they can.
Are they gonna have an outside firm going in there? Like,
Well, during Christmas break, I think the middle school's gonna get a deep cleaning through the same company that just cleaned the elementary school during the
That's
Thanksgiving
Surf-
break.
Surf
Pro.
Pro.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're gonna go in there during Christmas break and do a really good cleaning. I think they're gonna clean the air ducts in this middle school as well, just to be proactive. You know, so that school doesn't have the same issues as the elementary school. But they're just trying to get to the root of the problem. And I think part of the problem this past summer was, it was almost like a perfect storm where we had record humidity and record rainfall this past summer. So that combined with, you know, any dust that might be in the building, because dust is a food for, you know, mold, right? It attracts mold. And, you know, that, and then, you know, having the air ducts, you know, not clean for a little while, I think that was kind of the perfect storm to create this issue. But they've done the testing, they've had 2 separate agencies go in there. And they've deemed, based on this last meeting that they just had at the school last week, because they had a meeting for the parents to attend, that it's safe. I mean, the building's safe. I mean, if it wasn't safe, they wouldn't be in there.
The air duct cleaning is a major thing.
It is.
Because once that thing starts blowing through there, now it's blowing all contaminants all over.
Yeah, so I think going forward, the idea is to try and control the humidity
Yeah.
as best as we can in those buildings. You know, with some kind of a better dehumidification system. I'd rather see, you know, that approach taken first versus, okay, we're gonna do AC for the whole entire building, because that's, you're talking 7 figures to do something like that. So hopefully with these other measures, it'll get under control, and we'll have to see how it plays out going forward.
And dehumidifier will be expensive as well, because that by nature requires AC or some kind of compressor to cool
Yeah,
air.
so just getting the air circulating better, I think, you know, throughout the building is gonna be the key, so it's not stagnant, especially in
That's
the.
great, as long as the air ducts are clean.
Yeah, well, they're gonna have, I think they're gonna,
Just circulate more of the.
they're gonna
the
keep,
pollutants,
they're gonna
so-
have a regular schedule to do that going forward.
Yeah.
So I think once this is all done, I don't think it's, hopefully it's not gonna become you know, another issue down the road. Because I believe they've done a thorough check of the roof, and I don't think there's any more, you know, leaking of the roof. But I know the engineers were gonna check like the flooring to make sure there was no seepage from the floors as well. So it's still a process, still going through. I'm gonna get some more information. Like I said, this Friday I'll be attending another meeting, so I'll keep everybody informed as best I can. But this is gonna be something that's gonna impact the town financially going forward. So we have to kind of plan ahead for that, and you know, so we have to really be conservative, make sure we're spending our money wisely.
Where are the funds coming from for the work that's being done or has been done?
Well, so far they've used the ESSER grant. There was some money remaining in one of the grants, and I think
In the
it's
building fund, they have like a building maintenance fund.
yeah. So I think it was like 175,000. Now going forward, that's where we're going to come into play, and possibly maybe getting some help from the state. You know, hopefully as like an emergency type situation. So I believe Mr. Hinckley was having some conversations with a couple of our local politicians with regards to that, to see if there's any relief we can get, you know, from the state versus, you know, us having to foot the whole bill for it, right? Because I think if we could be facing a possible article at the annual town meeting in the spring, to fund some of this if we can't get any assistance from the state. So hopefully there's no big ask from any of our departments, you know, this year. You know, equipment wise.
We
You
tell
know.
them that every year, so.
I know, well, it seems like, you know.
They hear it all the time.
It seems like we've purchased a lot of equipment for the DPW over the last several years, so I'm hoping they should be good. And, you know, we're gonna have the new ambulance, I think fire trucks, I think they're in good shape, right? I mean, so I don't think there's anything looming with regards to that.
We have the tanker, it's already been ordered, that's already,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the additional ambulance.
yeah, it's still being worked on, but
is-
yeah. Yep, funds are set for that.
Those funds are allocated
Mhm.
already.
Mhm. I don't think they have any. I heard some scuttlebutt about some engine maintenance, but I don't know much about it, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
don't
if
know.
you've heard anything.
Yeah, so this would be a good year to not have, you know, any of those things coming before us. And it's specifically because of what, you know, we might be facing with the school. So hopefully that'll all, you know, work out.
What are the, what's the schedule for the departmental budgets?
Well, I wanted to discuss some of that tonight too. I think last year, I think we started the second week in January, I believe. You gonna pull that up, Eric? Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to start the first week of New Year's, you know, it's too early, I think. People are still recuperating from the holidays, right? From being exhausted from Christmas and New Year's.
So, looks like our first meeting was January 10th.
Okay, yeah.
It was a Tuesday.
Yeah, and that meeting was basically
That was
to,
Board of Selectmen one.
we met with the Board of Selectmen that day,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, and I think it was basically just set up,
Doing what we're doing now, kind of.
doing kind of what we're doing now, set up an outline, get an overview of what we're facing. And of course, as more time goes by, we're gonna get more, the numbers are gonna come in a little differently. So we'll get more information provided to us that'll, you know, make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, the preliminary numbers from the state will be big, so we should, and when I talk to Jamie, we should have that by December, like end of December, so.
Okay.
Yeah, the first
something like that.
department meeting was beginning of February. For February 1st.
So we started the first department meeting February 1st.
That's what I have.
Yeah, we ended up finishing up with a couple weeks to spare. I
Yeah, we
think.
did a whole bunch of small ones
We
together.
did.
We consolidated a lot.
We did. And I
And we
think,
finished early too.
you know,
Because there was a gap.
as far as, you know, asking departments how to, you know, come in, I mean, it's gonna be similar to last year. You know, we'll have the raises from fixed costs, and hopefully everything else isn't too bad, you know, not adding to that. Because it's gonna be a challenge to just cover all that.
Should be interesting.
Anybody else have anything they wanna add, or any concerns?
Anything big out there that's looming that we should be aware of?
Not really, I guess
Is
the
there-
other maybe big budget buster would be, the bus contract.
I was
Oh,
gonna
okay,
ask
yeah.
about that, it's probably
Yeah.
that time. Or any
That's-
other departments that might have some
That's right.
contracts that affect, you know,
Yeah.
their operations,
Yeah, so that'll
so.
be another large increase, I'm sure, from
Right.
previously.
Probably, I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah.
5, 6, 7%, maybe more,
Yeah.
in the daily rate, so.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing, like from other school departments that outsource their buses.
Yeah.
Plus we have positions that aren't filled. Still have the planner, so that's gonna help a little bit. I mean, it's not a lot, but.
Yeah. Yeah, planner,
We have a planner?
Not yet.
Any, like applications coming in, or?
not that I know of,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But Jamie had been working out with that.
I know the new treasurer is on
Yeah.
board.
Yep, she
Yeah.
starts, next Monday, or this coming Monday.
Good.
You know, a good planner would generate some revenue, more than cover his or her salary, you know.
Well,
Good
that's-
planner gets a lot of, you know, grants and grant monies.
Going back to the schools, I think, as far as like maintenance, I think they're gonna need, like, they need more custodial help. But the problem is they're having a hard time getting people to fill those positions. But those, if they can, I think those positions are gonna have to be funded. Like, they're probably gonna need an extra, because it's a lot for what they have to do now,
Oh, yeah, like
to clean everything. So we gotta keep that in mind too. That, you know, in order for them to keep up with the amount of maintenance, cleaning that they're gonna need to do, they're gonna need more help in those buildings. So we're gonna have to factor that in as well.
No, that's absolutely correct,
Mhm.
I mean, it is,
It's a big
it
undertaking.
is a big undertaking, and,
How many people do they, as far as janitorial, that they have per school? One or two people and one or two persons?
usually one person on during the day and two at night. That was pretty
I
standard.
think that came up.
Um,
Yeah, they need more help though. They're
that was-
definitely gonna need more help.
But it is difficult to find people when there's
Oh, yeah.
openings, absolutely, it is
Mhm.
difficult, and, you know, that's a struggle for a lot of positions in schools, whether it be custodians, teachers, cafeteria workers, paras.
Yeah, because those guys,
It's a real struggle.
yeah, I mean, ideally, you know, a lot of times, you know, maybe you find somebody that's like semi-retired, you know, and they're still relatively physically fit, and they, you know, want to earn a few extra dollars. I mean, hopefully there's some folks out there like that, that are.
They had that program that they were talking about, having the seniors coming in, work off some of the tax money.
Absolutely, I think that, why,
Yeah, but there's a limit, I think, for that.
Huh?
They can only do
Must
so
probably
much.
have, the unions
Yeah.
would probably scream about
I
that.
was gonna say, the union might have something to say about it.
Yeah, also.
Yeah.
yeah, going back to filling positions, you know, it's gonna, a bittersweet loss of our council on aging director, right? You know, she's been great for many years, and moving on to bigger and better things, right?
She is.
Hey, when you get an opportunity, you have to take it.
Opportunity knocked and she
Yeah.
answered, so.
Yeah, so it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet for
It
the
is.
town, you know, it's a big loss for the town, you know, losing Heather.
Yeah.
Same thing with our librarian.
Yeah, but, you know, she had a better opportunity, and, you know, that town could fund her position better than we could. It's just, that's the problem, is we, you know, we can pay what we can pay, right? I mean, sometimes we can't pay what another town can pay, because we don't have the resources that they do.
Right.
And, you know, that's the struggle that we face, is because, you know, we're limited as far as, you know, what our revenue sources are, right? I mean, we don't have a big industrial and commercial tax base to draw off of, like Dartmouth and Fairhaven. And I believe, you know, when we did a survey many years ago, our residents wanted to keep our town rural and didn't want to see, you know, expansion of like having you know, a big business in town somewhere. And I don't even know, as far as where land-wise, how that would work. And I know we have a lot of conservation land, but,
No, if we had a planner, you know,
we definitely need
we'd
a
have some
town,
direction, and if
we
we had.
need a
any-
town planner, for sure.
you know,
Yeah, because I just don't, you know, people are, in this state, are taxed to the max, as I like to say. I mean, we pay so many taxes, you know, when you think about it, it's like astronomical, right? And I think, you know, I think we're one of the, you know, there's not too many towns that don't have a meals tax. We don't. And
Which is probably something we should look into, really. Yeah, it came up
So, a
one
few
year.
years
it was,
ago.
And it got shut down.
Shut down.
Yeah.
it got shut down, and I'm certainly no fan of creating new taxes. It's not, I don't like that.
No.
But every other community around here hasn't, so we're paying that tax
I
anyway.
know.
Instead of paying it for our own community, we're paying it for the other communities.
I think we should look into doing,
Well, it'd have to be, if the townspeople want it and they're okay with it, then it's up to them. You know, we leave it up to them. You know, I think they should decide, as a community, if that's something that they would be okay with. You know, I'm not a fan of creating new taxes. I don't like them. I feel that, you know, our state relies too much on that, on the creation of new taxes. And it's breaking the backs of people financially. You know,
We're
especially,
giving money away, I mean, it's,
no, I mean,
on a state level and
Well,
on a federal level, I mean, it's.
yeah, I mean,
It's pathetic.
Well,
to be honest with you.
we're supporting all kinds of people, you know, coming into the state that I mean, we're gonna be taking care of our own, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I mean, number one. I mean, and our residents should come first.
A little more state aid would be nice, you know, and if we didn't have to provide for a lot of these other things that,
Well, you know, I won't go on a big rant about this, but what happens at the federal level always trickles down to the state level and then the local level. I mean, you know that. So, yeah, look, we have a wide open southern border, and it's not closing anytime soon, at least for another year, right? And it's just, that is costing our country billions of dollars to fund this. And
That's Bidenomics.
and our state is one of those states, right? And it's just crazy, in my opinion.
they spend
I mean, how long is this gonna go
millions
on?
and millions of dollars and think nothing of it. They've just appropriated, what, $300 million?
No, just keep printing money, and and they wonder why inflation is so bad, right? And so the Fed has to raise the interest rates to cool it down. So by doing that, it slows down new growth. So.
I saw something on the news, actually this morning, mentioned that they might, next year, they might lower the interest rate, because inflation's starting to cool off, so
Well,
they.
it had to come down a little bit, and but we are going into
Inflation's gone down, but it still costs you more to live.
Well,
Yeah.
part of it, you know,
That's all right.
and don't forget.
Yeah, that's the thing they mentioned, is that housing is still
Well,
high.
some of that can be deceiving because we're going into an election year too. So there could be a false sense of security with that. With, you know, the gas prices are down from where their highest point right now.
Well,
But depending what happens in that next election, you could see those gas prices skyrocket right back. You know, because they're gonna keep
smoke and
pushing
mirrors.
this, you know, electrical vehicle mandate. I mean, which is, you don't even have the infrastructure for all that. I mean, it was short-sighted, not thinking long-term on how to plan for that, in my opinion.
I think we should go back to the whole marijuana thing that was shot down a couple of years ago. Not necessarily dispensaries, but growing. I mean, because when we shot down that no marijuana in the community at all, it's like, okay, we just lost some potential revenue.
Big time.
You know, what's wrong with somebody setting up, because it's expensive to set up one of those growing facilities. And there's a lot of money in
It's a
that.
huge cost to try and get involved in that. Just to
Right.
I think, just to
But
get
if somebody invests in that in our town,
just to get the license,
Yeah.
it's very costly, and there's no guarantee that you're gonna get approved for it either.
but I think that's something that should be at least looked at. I mean, maybe sure, no dispensaries in town, but why not grow it?
Yeah, if we have, I think that's a potentially a good idea. Should be on the table for discussion.
Mhm.
You know, I'd rather see something like that, and that would probably actually bring in more revenue than just the meals tax. I don't know how much the meals tax would bring in this town.
I think they
Remember they
figured
had a presentation at town meeting.
it's like $30,000 or $40,000.
Right.
So it's not.
Not a
How
lot.
many restaurants do we have?
I know exactly.
5 or
So
6 of them?
that's like, but it's for me, it's more of a precedent. You know, it's like, yeah, let's create a new tax. You know, for me. It shouldn't be the answer for everything.
Yeah, residents are taxed enough. They
Yeah, I
need it.
mean, it's enough is enough. I mean, you've got the gas tax, the sales tax, income tax, excise tax, property tax. Just keep going on and on, right? It's gonna.
There's too many hands in the pocket.
There's way too many hands in the pocket, and you know, you got still, in my opinion, just a lot of corrupt politicians. You know, just doing a disservice to the American citizens in this country, not putting them first.
Yeah, the level of corruption is outrageous.
That's all I have to say about that. But there'll probably be more.
Forest. Attaboy Forest.
Yeah.
It's-
All right, anybody else want to discuss anything about budget next year? I think as we get closer, I'll send out an email to everybody to see, you know, try and get a consensus on a start date. So if we looked ahead, Yeah, so if we continue, is Wednesdays, everybody like meeting on Wednesdays still?
Yeah, that's fine.
Pretty good for everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be Wednesday, January 10th, would be potentially our first meeting. And what would probably be good, if we can get everybody at one meeting, because then we can go over like liaison assignments, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then on that date, just kind of set up a departmental schedule. You know, see what,
What date was that?
Wednesday, January 10th.
January 10th, okay.
Yeah, so let's have that date in mind. Does that work for everybody here right now,
Mhm.
so far?
Works for me.
Okay. All right, so what I'll do is I'll draft another email to everybody, just giving them an idea that we're gonna, you know, set up another, you know, set potential meeting on January 10th. To basically just get an outline of our schedule for departments, how we want, you know, who we want to have come in. We'll probably do the easy ones first. You know, always we're going to save the school for last. You know, the bigger ones for last. So we'll do that. Does anybody have any old business to bring up? New business?
We still have a vacancy on the,
Oh yes, we still have one vacancy on the FinCom. I mean, right now we have, you know, our fullest complement of people that we've had in a long time. You know, because it always seems like we've been short at least two. You know, but it's nice to have a full complement of people in case, you know, like tonight somebody's sick, work, can't get here. You know, those kind of things are going to come up all the time.
so we gotta recruit at least one more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be, I mean, you know, now we have two ladies on the committee. It'd be nice to have another lady. You know, just give us a little more diversity on our FinCom. You know.
New ideas, better ideas, in most cases, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. So no new business. All right, we do have some minutes. Kathy had got a couple of sets of minutes done. One set was from August 9th, 2023. In attendance was myself, Pete Benoit, Eric Chu, Bob Ferreira, and Mr. St. Jean.
Yeah, I looked them over. I'll make a motion to it.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those meetings are approved. And then the second set of minutes was from October 4th, 2023. In attendance was myself, Sue Delgado, Eric Chu, Kristen Flynn, Eric McGlynn, and Bob St. Jean.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those minutes are approved. Okay, next meeting date to be determined, but we've already kind of, you know, set January 10th as a tentative date. I mean, that could change. I mean, if it changes, it'll probably just be to the following week,
Yeah.
because we're gonna have to get started, you know. And
Motion to adjourn.
that's about it.
Have the
I hope
selectmen
I'd
set
like-
up any kind of a schedule?
Not yet. Not
Not
that I
yet.
know. I know they're busy with other things right now.
Just a message to all our residents. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a healthy, Happy New Year, and a prosperous New Year for everybody. And you know, we're gonna do our best here to minimize taxation as best we can. It's not easy, but we're gonna try.
Motion to
We
adjourn.
have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.
Good night.